Hey, welcome back to Monday All Weekend. We're here, and, well, we're here.
We're here. I mean, we're here.
Right?
I had nothing. I was going to elaborate.
You were going to say
nothing.
we're here and we're queer, but we're not.
No.
We're not
not.
queer. All right.
And so I was like, well, I guess we're just here, and we're here.
Yeah. You know, honestly, we got to stop saying we're here because I have that
I'm not
same
here.
thought every time we
Yeah.
open, my brain says, and we're queer. That's what my brain wants
No.
to say. out
Time,
loud.
yeah.
Wait, are you guys thinking about this the whole time? I've not.
I think about it every time.
I have not thought about this any episode.
I thought
think-
about it on Saturday when we recorded
It's
the
just,
podcast.
it's such a good open.
No,
We're
No.
here and we're queer. It works. It rhymes.
I wouldn't call it a good open.
You
It
can just
it
say
just rhymes.
You can just it.
Can
boom.
we just?
It just comes out. It's so quick. But we can't. What we're here and we're here.
We're here, and we the best.
I don't feel
That
like I'm
doesn't
here.
work.
I feel like we got false started a little bit.
No,
Well,
we didn't
that's
get false
fine.
started.
It's a live show, and it doesn't have to be 100% professional because we are on the internet.
And we're queer. Now, now listen, if you guys join us for the live tonight, we're glad you're here. We want you to chat with us in the chat. So if you have questions, if you have input, we'll try to address them as we go through all of this fun news. So interact with us there. We'd really appreciate it. We'd love to talk to you.
Yeah, we might have some answers if you have some questions, and you also might have answers. We're not going to pretend like we know more than you about
Right.
anything, but we might on some stuff.
We
Well, we just might
definitely
have
know
more
about
information.
some-
Yeah,
We definitely know.
might know.
I mean, probably how to make a perfect pancake, or
I've
the
never
perfect
seen you make a pancake.
rice and
Seen you make rice.
a lot. I can make
Yeah.
the perfect rice.
Well, we got some topics that we're going to be talking about, and the
Mm-hmm.
first is Wicked. There's some more news.
We did talk about this
From-
last week.
Was this last week or the week before?
Was it last week?
What? The
Wicked. What did
Wicked,
talk
we
about?
talked about it last 2 weeks ago.
It was
2 weeks.
And
Okay.
but we have some new news.
Because I remember doing an Ariana impression, but I don't remember doing that last week,
Yeah.
and I haven't been working on it. So
What's
I'm not gonna do
what's
it
the
again.
chat saying over there?
So I'm very sorry, but I'm not going to attempt to pronounce your first name.
Okay.
I'm just going to call it Fisher. That's their last name.
Okay.
Fisher's the last name.
They
Okay.
said Disney is making Mufasa the Lion King in 2024.
I've heard
So
about this.
We're talking about
kind of
Lilo
like
and
a
Stitch,
prequel
you know?
to
Okay.
The Lion King live action.
Is this the same person as last week?
I've seen them in the chat before.
Okay, I appreciate you guys showing up for our live, but we don't only talk about live action Disney movies.
But
That's
we
all
also,
they
could you
come.
guys stay on topic? They don't know any of our topics.
We happen to be talking about live
No,
action. tonight.
no. If you guys see the thumbnail and you have something you want to bring up first, like when you get in, we will talk about it. Yeah. I'm interested. I don't know that I'm excited about this.
Well, remember
Mufasa thing?
Yeah, remember the first Lion King? Nobody was like, Jon Favreau did it.
Yeah.
Nobody was
Yeah.
overjoyed because it's like the magic of the Lion King or any animated cartoon Disney film is the expressiveness, the emotion, the whimsicalness of it, and you kind of lose that when you're trying to make photorealistic lions.
Yeah, the lions didn't have great expression to their face.
And I think what distinguished The Lion King from The Jungle Book was, because Favreau did The Jungle Book as well, you have a kid. The kid relays expression. He kind of grounds us in that, what something is feeling in this particular moment. And since
Right.
he's kind of the catalyst, or not catalyst, but he's kind of the self-insert for the audience throughout the story, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Also, I think it does help that one is trying to become king and the other one is trying to live the bare necessities.
That's true.
Yeah,
They're
they're kind of
totally
opposite. They're totally
spectrums.
opposite.
Two very different stories. One wants to be a pauper, one wants to be a king.
yeah.
Okay.
I'd have merged
Let-
those two.
Let's go ahead and roll into the first topic. If you
Yeah, so we're gonna be talking about Wicked a little bit. There's some new news and some pictures and IMDb stuff. So this says Wicked movie first look. Ariana Grande's Glinda. So she's gonna be Glinda the Good Witch. Interesting. And Cynthia Erivo Alphaba?
Alphaba's a character from Wicked.
Yes, so Cynthia Erivo's Alphaba
Yeah.
make their debuts.
So
Okay.
basically,
Okay.
Interesting.
the debuts is these pictures. So if you
Yeah,
go over
so
one,
let me go over.
one
let me
link, we
grab
can take a
these.
look at them and kind of zoom in if
Can
you
we?
can.
Okay.
Let's zoom in. Now, I think the
You
LUT's
really
going to make it
can
a little
click on 'em,
dark.
can't you?
Yeah.
just click
Okay,
on the
so we
front.
got
okay.
the Wicked Witch here.
Never
Oh,
mind.
You're
I
just going to
just
like
liked
it. You're
it.
just going to like it. All right.
Just like it. It's
Like
only
you said,
choices.
This is a pretty cool photo. I like the framing of it.
Mm-hmm.
Here, tap that little person in the bottom corner to get rid of those tags. Thank you.
Yeah,
Go. There we go.
we're
So-
professionals around here.
So yeah, I think this is a pretty cool picture. I looked up the director of photography because this has a very cool style
Hold on,
to it.
too.
If this
Yeah,
is
yeah.
a frame from the actual movie. Now, what I found interest, I believe her name is Alice Brooks, I think, is the cinematographer for this movie. She did Into the Heights. She also did Tick, Tick, Boom. So she's
Okay.
into the cinematography
Yeah.
for the musicals, for the big numbers. You
Yeah,
know what I'm saying?
musicals that have been adapted.
Right.
Very cool. And this is a good picture. A lot of swirling circles, kind of overlapping.
Yeah,
it looks very cool. I
The
like
textures, there's interest to this, definitely.
Mm.
Now, the next
The
one I
leading-
believe is
leading
Ariana
lines.
Grande.
Wait, is
Okay.
that Ariana?
Now, I'm
Yeah.
gonna be honest, with the
That doesn't
LUT,
look like Ariana.
it. That's as close in as I can zoom.
so with the LUT on, I can't see this very well. So you take this, this is Ariana Grande kind of walking up some steps. Really, all
steps.
we can see here
In a pink dress.
It's already very dark, and so
Mm-hmm.
really all we can see here is the dress.
In fact, when you were showing these to me before, I thought this was a flower. Being totally honest,
But I think at a
flower.
theater, this is probably going to look awesome
it'll look
Oh, yeah,
probably really good.
cinematically. So if you're interested in these, you can go take a look. But before you do
What-
that, we're going to talk about some of the
What's the
casting.
release date for this? Do we have a release date?
2024. I don't know the day yet. I don't know if it's been announced, and we don't need to discuss that now. What we do need to
I do,
discuss
because I need to know when to prepare.
let's
You're
take a look
not-
at this cast.
They've
list.
already got cast. You're not going to be in this one.
No, prepared to go watch it.
Oh, okay. I
Because
thought
the
you were,
release date.
I thought you were like,
They
I'm
already
getting ready.
filmed
I'm
it.
auditioning. I'm going to be in this one.
No. I'll get the next one. I'll get the next one.
So, pretty big cast already.
Did you
that
notice
we can
Jeff
see.
Goldblum there at the top?
Jeff
Yeah.
Goldblum as Wizard.
Nice.
Just Wizard.
How do you think that would go? Be like, well, I mean, I'll grant your wish, but you have to do
you
something for me.
you come in here into my sanctum, and well, you might get a wish.
You might
You might
get
not.
3 wishes.
You might
but-
get 3 wishes,
3.
and then down into the chamber over there.
I see that there's a little bit of yellow dust on your shoes. You must have come through the yellow brick road to get to see
get-
me today.
To me today. Today. Yeah, that'll be weird. Ariana Grande, obviously. Cynthia, we saw before. Jonathan Bailey.
What about? Isn't that the lady from Everywhere? All the
Joshua cannot.
Oh
be
yeah,
silent.
yeah. Of course, Michelle Yeoh.
Michelle.
From
Yeoh
Everything
from-
Everywhere All at Once.
Yeah.
As
We gotta
Madame
mention her.
Morrible. I'm gonna be completely transparent with you guys.
You know what?
Okay.
Why? And this is new for you. Rarely are you very transparent and honest on this.
I was gonna
channel.
say translucent and realized that's a little bit. That's not quite. I've never seen any of the Wicked stuff.
Okay.
Not
not
familiar with any of it. So if you guys recognize these names, tell us what you think of the casting, because I'm truly am interested. If you guys think this is really good casting, if you've seen the play, if you've seen,
Just the play.
I guess it's just the play.
I don't even know if there's a book about this. Honestly, there might be. It might
No,
be based
I
on a
mean it's
novel.
probably roughly based on some of the Wizard of Oz
lore.
extended lore, but I'm guessing most of this is just going to be coming from the stage play.
Yeah.
So tell us what you guys think about this casting. I'm trying to
Which,
see.
honestly, while you're looking that up, I'm surprised you haven't heard of it, because if we're talking top 2 Broadway shows ever, you might say Phantom of the Opera, and you might also say Wicked.
Cats maybe as well.
No, Cats is not on the top. It's
It's-
very popular,
it's up
but it's
there,
It's
not.
extremely
No,
popular.
It's
Hamilton's more
popular.
popular than Cats.
No, that's no.
Yeah, Hamilton's
Hamilton's
more
been
popular
around
than
for how
Cats.
long?
It does not matter. Hamilton's more popular than Cats.
Cats has been around for years.
Yeah.
And
I-
years.
Surprisingly, as
understand.
much as I don't like Cats, Cats is very popular.
So I just want to look at the director for this movie,
Okay.
and see what he's worked on. So he hasn't worked on. He's got director credits.
Looks like he's got 5 credits there.
So his
Everything's
upcoming.
pre-production.
Upcoming?
Everything's
Oh
pre-production.
wait, hold
right
on.
now.
So In the Heights.
Into
It's
the Heights,
director.
He's the director. So yeah, he
Um,
did, which makes sense why he has Alice Brooks as the cinematographer.
Okay, Crazy Rich Asians.
Okay.
Now You See Me Too.
Mm-hmm.
Justin Bieber's Believe. G.I. Joe Retaliation.
Nice.
This is a pretty stacked roster. if I'm being- I don't like G.I. Joe Retaliation, but I do like Crazy Rich Asians.
Yeah, it was relatively
That's a-
funny
That's a good. It's just a fun kind of rom-com.
about rich Asians.
I mean, it's a really enjoyable film.
Mm-hmm.
So this has potential.
It has potential.
Honestly, I watched Into the Heights. I've seen Tick Tick Boom. I've seen some of these people's work, and when I looked at it, I'm like, this is interesting. It is definitely cinema, but what the pictures that we saw look so much more stylized than anything else I've seen these creators do, which makes me wonder, like, are they really pushing themselves, or do they have, I don't know, a specific gaffer or something on set who deals with lights that wants to try something or has a specific style? There seems to be an influence outside of what we see normally, but I really don't know until we see the trailer, though.
The only thing I really have thoughts about going into this is how they gonna portray it, because like there's a lot of musicals that they, even though it's a movie, it still feels like it's on a stage. I mean, Into the Woods felt like it was on a stage, even though it was in the woods. It was a stage woods.
Also, like freaking 4 hours long.
Yeah. Well, no, it wasn't that long.
It felt really long.
But I don't want it to be like that. I want it to feel like a movie plus a musical.
I kind of want I would like a new musical, because I think the last good musical that came out was probably La La Land.
Right.
Before that was what, Les Mis?
You didn't like Tick Tick Boom, or
I mean, Tick Tick Boom was okay, but it wasn't La La Land.
Okay, look. So you
No.
got the Lin-Manuel Miranda universe, kind of.
yeah,
That
The
Hamilton-
Lin-Manuel Miranda verse.
that like Hamilton and
Mirandaverse.
Tick Tick Boom and Into the Heights kind of lives in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you know, you're thinking about the more classic, very high cinematography production pieces that. So like La La Land, like Les Mis.
You know, movies that are very much a musical and very much a movie, and less,
Sweeney Todd.
like you said,
On
kind
a
of stage
stage.
play. Yeah.
which I don't feel like that was any of Lin-Manuel's stuff, except for Hamilton, which was on a stage. But
so they make it a movie.
But
Yeah,
I would
the
say
other
I would
ones-
say even what was the one, West Side Story?
Right.
Came out
Steven
recently
Spielberg.
with Spielberg. Even that felt somewhat stage play-ish.
it did, yeah.
You know?
I think that's how they filmed it, though, because they were going for that.
But I mean, I maybe this will be the next big kind of musical thing that comes out.
You know,
I think it will.
based on what I've seen from these people's work, I don't hate any of their work.
Mm-hmm.
So in theory, this could be a very enjoyable body of cinema, or piece of work, project.
Yes.
A real fine piece of work.
And speaking of pieces of work,
Right.
Disney, if obviously the thumbnail, Disney's going back and working on some of their previous work again, with Lilo and Stitch, and we got some casting,
Yeah.
and we already knew Zach Galifianakis. We talked about this on the
we
podcast.
did talk about this.
I thought I saw casting for David, but it's not here on the IMDb. I'm gonna real quick do a search for
Yeah.
that.
Do a switch.
While he's doing that, we do talk about this stuff at length. Sometimes more elaborate. Sometimes we able to dive into certain topics more on our podcast. So if you check out the WiseWorks podcast, you can actually see similar stuff to what we do here on the studio channel or on the lives, except we do it in more free form, and we do it in a different studio, a little bit different vibe. But we do that every single week. So check out WiseWorks podcast, and you can enjoy our long form stuff over there. And also while you're here, we appreciate you watching. If you would consider subscribing and liking this video, so you can just see when we go live and post videos more often. What you got there, Wyatt? Any information there?
This is. Oh wait, okay. So this the last name Machado? Somebody.
Machado.
I'm still looking for the. Okay, so I don't know how to pronounce his name. Kahau.
Yes,
Kahau.
something like that.
Kahue.
It's
Machado has been cast as
It's
David
Hawaiian.
in Lilo and Stitch.
nice.
The Hawaiian names are difficult to pronounce because
They are difficult.
It'll be difficult.
Difficult is difficult.
Normal words are difficult to pronounce
Why?
because
Yeah.
they'll a lot of times you're used to pronouncing the vowels all as one thing, whereas they'll pronounce each vowel as something different. So it could be kahiao, kahiao. I don't know.
Who knows? Well, somebody
but
knows.
I didn't
but, you
see
know.
a picture.
Yeah, I mean, you can probably just copy and paste his name into Google and it'll show it to you.
Oh, dude, that's such a good idea.
Sometimes I got the ideas.
You do.
So if you guys are watching, let us know what you think of Lilo and Stitch, the live action. We gave our thoughts extensively about what we think about the live action. So really, we're just following up and saying who's in this. Does it look like it's being crafted into something interesting, or kind of do we hold the same vibe, and we're just kind of like, why the live action when the cartoon was already so great? You know what I mean? So
Okay, so here's a picture.
nice. He looks like he could play the character.
Yeah.
There we go.
There we go.
Yeah, he looks like a handsome guy.
Yeah.
Play David.
Them eyebrows are thick, boy.
Well,
The other thing I think people are being a bit what's the word?
Harsh?
Not harsh, but speculative about is the casting for Nani
Yeah.
with Sydney Agudong.
It's going to be a common thread.
It really is. She's from Hawaii.
Mm-hmm.
She's been in
NCIS, right there.
On My Block, NCIS.
So what
yeah,
were
but
people
only in
having
one
to say
episode of
about this?
NCIS.
Well,
So she's lighter of skin than Nani. Nani is a very dark skinned kind of Hawaiian woman.
wait, who's to say that she can't just go get a tan before production?
I don't think they'll do that. The reason this has come up is because Disney's been famously just race swapping with
Yes.
each movie,
And now they're not.
and now instead of finding an actress who is a similar skin color,
Right.
they go with Sydney, who is lighter skin. Now, this could be a simple thing of best person for the job, which is kind of what they've said with previous castings, even though obviously that's not necessarily true.
Right.
I don't have a problem with Sydney.
No, I don't either. Just
I
Yeah, I don't
at
know.
face
I don't
value?
know how she is at
yeah,
acting.
she might be a great
be good at-
actress.
I mean, she was in
but
NCIS. I mean, come on.
Well, only one episode, my guy.
It don't matter. She was in it.
but I'm also not super excited about
Just
live action Lilo and Stitch.
Yeah. We've talked about this.
concept.
Yeah, just live action in general is more like dead action.
Now, of the live action things that can be live action, I think Lilo and Stitch is perhaps one of the only ones that would work live action.
You think?
Yeah. I think Disney princesses live action.
No, I have to beg to differ because the one that works the best we already got, which is Cinderella.
No.
Yeah, Cinderella works best as a live action.
Nah.
What Lilo and Stitch is real world things happening in the real world.
Okay.
It's not like Cinderella where it's some strange magical things that are kind of maybe happening in our world, but also maybe not. Nothing is specific.
Okay.
Whereas Lilo and Stitch is like, it's in Hawaii. These are real people. They're having real problems. And then aliens come into the picture and it's difficult.
Right.
Right?
So it doesn't have fairy godmothers.
No, but it
does have aliens.
Aliens.
Yeah,
I think it's the one that maybe really works as it's kind of like E.T. If E.T. went horribly wrong.
And it was in Hawaii.
And it was in Hawaii.
Yeah.
Nice. Which might be an improvement on E.T.
And it was with one little girl and not Elliot. But I'm interested to see how this plays out because clearly they got an actor to play David who looks similar to David.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I don't know if they're just going for people who are Hawaiian.
I would hope not. It's hard to speculate.
But we're talking about specific skin color. Are they doing this on purpose to make a point?
I do not know. I mean, I don't really know what point they're making.
Are they trying to say we're just picking the best person? Doesn't matter their skin color. Is that what they're doing with this?
No, you have to cast within you have to cast within accurate storytelling beats, which is you cast a Hawaiian girl to play this character.
She's Hawaiian.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So what is your point?
My point is she's a different skin tone, like a completely different skin tone.
Yeah.
Are they making a point of saying it doesn't matter the skin tone, we're picking the right person for the job?
Maybe.
I would,
because they've been accused a lot recently of not doing that. And are they using this movie as kind of a scapegoat to say, we'll cast anybody. We don't care what they don't even have to look like Nani.
Right.
He's very Hawaiian looking.
Yeah.
Maybe they're just gonna animate her.
I don't know. I'm curious about the thinking, and I know that there's never going to be an answer.
Yeah.
It's just going to be up in the air.
But the cool thing about it is if this film happens to actually be very entertaining and good, and, people like Sydney and all these other individuals, Zach Galifianakis, tend to if they make this film good and it looks good and it's fun and doesn't feel like there's an agenda, then we can just eat our words and be like, well, you know what? We're better for having it. And it doesn't matter what their intentions were. But we have to really wait and see. I think it's very interesting. They announced 2 live actions very close together that both take place in Hawaii.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Moana doesn't really take place in Hawaii.
The Great Islands.
Right.
The Great Islands. So it's based on Hawaii.
But you're right. It is interesting. And I almost wonder if they had Lilo and Stitch planned to be that big. It's like, oh, this is going to be our next big live action thing.
Right.
And then The Rock really pushed for live action Moana.
That's possible.
Because
you think Dwayne is pushing hard?
Dwayne pushes hard for everything he's doing that he wants to do.
He pushes hard in general.
Yeah, it's gonna be a.
He pushed hard for Black
movie.
Adam. He's just. I feel like he got that announcement put out.
Right.
They were probably like, no, don't do it. And he was like, I've already made the video and I've already uploaded it onto YouTube.
I just have to hit publish. And here I go. 3,
Boom,
2, 1.
there it is. I don't know.
It has my daughters in it.
And they're like, no, we can't stop him.
The executive at Disney watches it and he's like, what is it? What is this?
I guess
and
we're doing
girls
Moana.
He's like,
Moana. Guess what it is, girls? And they're like, Moana.
And the executives are like, we were not planning this.
We had a much more interesting idea.
We had a plan.
We need about like $100 million to make a Moana movie.
Mm-hmm. They're just like on the fly making this up as they go. Speaking of money.
Okay.
So the predictions for opening weekend at the box office have dropped for the Guardians 3 movie.
Okay. They're predicting.
Right.
This is a prediction.
This is rough, and this is very early, and most likely that's the reason that it's not super great.
Okay.
this, I think, has no bearing on how this film is going to do.
Okay.
Right? These opening, but they're projecting really low numbers, lower than like the first movie.
Right. And it happened over the weekend.
Yeah.
Towards the end of last week, so we have to cover it and explain what's going on.
So
what?
this is saying recent projections have worried Marvel as Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is being predicted to become the lowest grossing movie
Of Marvel or just
of the Marvel
okay.
the Marvel franchise.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think it's probably going to do better than Ant-Man.
Probably.
I think this is probably going to do better than a lot of the ones that have come out recently.
But do you think it's going to do better than Thor: Love and Thunder did?
I think the problem
Yes.
is
Yeah, it will.
I think the problem is it has to do much better than just making its money back. So if this movie makes $500 million,
Right.
that's making its money back. If it makes more than $700 million, technically that's still barely making its money back. It has to do it. This has to be $1 billion movie.
Yeah.
So
That's
and we
pretty
already
tall.
know the budget is somewhere around $250 million. The
And-
first Guardians had a budget of $250 million.
Yeah. And when people say a budget of, you can pretty much double that number for marketing costs. Right?
For a lot of stuff.
a lot of stuff.
You're basically doubling the number for a lot of stuff, but they're not telling you that.
You don't
They're
tell you
just
that.
saying 250, and then they're dropping a movie like Ant-Man. They're like, oh, it made 700-800 million, and then, but they're not showing you how much was actually spent
Right.
in marketing and all sorts of other things that they're doing.
I think for this film specifically, I think there's a chance that it will be accepted by the fans. A lot more than most Marvel movies for the reason of Guardians has always been this goofy, kind of just adventure movie. And that's what they have tried to do with like Thor and all this other stuff where Thor wasn't that, and so the fans didn't accept it as much because it was like Thor's not been this up until now. You're just trying to make it that, but Guardians has always been that. So
And Guardians also doesn't touch on the kind of Earth world of Marvel in its movies.
Yeah.
With the exception of like Thanos being mentioned in the first one and seeing Thanos in the first one. The second one doesn't really mention Earth stuff that's happening, major Earth stuff.
Yeah.
So you kind of can just watch these as their own separate story
Yeah.
of like space adventures, sci-fi fun space adventures. And I think this one's probably going to do the same thing. I think James Gunn was intentional with that sort of storytelling so that he could have his 3 movies sort of be separate from the overall Marvel world.
You can also call it the Marvel mess,
Yeah, or as it is now, the Marvel mess. But even when Guardians 2 came out, it wasn't that. It was still a workhorse. It was making tons of money. But with this budget, $250 million, I also pulled up Indiana Jones
Okay.
because its budget is like almost $300 million.
oof. It's going to be so bad.
These movies have massive budgets.
Right.
And this goes for several movies of the past few years. They have massive budgets and they're not making back what they spent.
Yeah, they're imploding.
So
They're inflated.
why do you commit to a $300 million, probably closer to $600 million budget if this isn't a sure thing?
Can I? Go ahead, Joshua.
I don't know. I was going to... I don't want to derail this conversation that much, but we were watching The Mummy, and you said the other day, The Mummy is our generation's Indiana Jones.
I said it could have been.
It could have been.
It could have been our
would have made
generation's
more
Indiana
money,
Jones.
probably has a chance of making more money, is to make another Brendan Fraser Mummy movie, like Brendan Fraser now, then bring, Harrison Ford back and be
Absolutely.
because he's hot right now. Brendan Fraser's like, everybody would watch it.
Nobody is looking at Indiana Jones nowadays and thinking, this is going to be a great movie.
No.
Because the last movie was terrible. And Lucasfilm right now doesn't have a great track record.
No.
Kathleen Kennedy does not have a great track record.
No.
Harrison Ford is 1,000,000 years old.
Yeah, I mean, even
Bringing him back as Han Solo didn't make the fans happy, you know?
Clint Eastwood has some fantastic films, but Cry Macha, he was too old. He should have just retired earlier.
Yeah, and because he was
couldn't do
kind of
it.
hobbling around that movie.
Yeah,
Harrison's not going to be. He's going to be doing the same thing
he's
in this
going to be
film.
doing the same thing.
And so now we have low numbers for Guardians. We're probably going to have low numbers for this, and Guardians is probably going to make more money than this.
It will.
Probably.
It will.
Can I interject a thought that I don't tend to voice too often?
Give that
no,
thought.
no.
So this
Voice
thought is it's based in reality. You can basically, so when you're driving a big ship, it's hard to turn.
Mm-hmm.
Hollywood is a big ship. Hollywood has a bunch of studios, a bunch of actors, a bunch of people that rely on income to be in productions constantly, below the line, above the line people. You got executives making decisions, good and bad, and you got creatives all through there that want to be innovative. But the problem with Hollywood is that they are extremely slow to pivot and extremely slow to make better decisions. And in fact, they kind of exemplify the definition of insanity most of the time, which is do the same thing over and over and over again, expecting a different result. So by that standard, and it goes from the highest point of deciding to make another Indiana Jones movie, another Pirates of the Caribbean movie, another Star Wars movie that even though we know the fans aren't happy about it, or another Star Wars show, all the way down to like what they use to edit. Like Hollywood is still using Avid to edit movies. It's like Hollywood standard, but guess how outdated Avid is. It's like one of the worst things to edit on because it's extremely tedious. It's not user friendly. It just happened to be the very first non-linear editing software.
When did it come out?
Oh, it came out in like the 80s, I think.
Nice.
The first version of Avid was like on the very first version of the computer.
That's pretty funny.
But they can't get past this idea that you don't need to use Avid to edit your movies. You know, Adobe and Blackmagic are doing some of the best software out there, but they can't pivot because it's not what they do. You know what I mean?
So you think that it's going to be, are these movies, Guardians, Indiana Jones, are these going to be the movies that are the sacrificial lambs?
Oh, there's always going to be sacrificial lambs in Hollywood, always. And yeah, this is next year's or this year's sacrificial lamb.
These are the ones that it's going to be where Hollywood's going to look at and be like, we got to do something.
Yeah,
because John Wick made money,
Mm-hmm.
Maverick made money, Mario is about to hit $1 billion. Guys, Mario opens in Japan like this. I want to say close to 800 million.
Holy
globally.
cow!
And it hasn't hit
Good
Japan.
for her.
It's going to do another 200 to 300 million in Japan.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to hit $1 billion very soon. It has the rest of the month. These movies are doing good.
Yeah, yeah. And you know, on that point of sacrificial lambs, there's always going to be them, and I don't think there's anything you can do to change it. You know, and people like with Avatar, The Way of Water, even doesn't matter what you think of it, Hollywood doesn't typically like James Cameron, and James Cameron doesn't care for Hollywood too much because he's always doing innovating stuff. And I think that's why his movies are so successful, because he kind of just says, he in his old days, he leaned into that testosterone and just kind of said, screw everybody. I'm doing the creative projects I want. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I mean, regardless of how Josh thinks of Avatar, there's a good movie in there. I think if you cut away a lot of the fat that's on that movie,
I mean, there's a lot of fat,
and you frame it better, he made $1 billion.
Yeah.
Right. I think part of that is from the hype from the first movie.
It's fourth gross.
How long we waited.
Yeah.
It was kind of ridiculous for that movie.
Yeah.
But again, that movie made money, but it also did a ton of new stuff.
Yeah.
Visually, it did insanely new stuff that nobody had ever seen before.
And that's James Cameron and all of the creatives at Weta, and not the executives in Hollywood.
Right.
Because they would have not put that kind of time, money, and effort if they were the ones calling the shots for Avatar. You know what I'm saying?
Right. And so I think we're going to start seeing more movies like, we're going to obviously start seeing more movies like Mario. I think there's going to be a big uptick in hardcore action style films.
Yep.
I think a lot of them are going to be terrible. And
you forget how many terrible movies were in the 80s and 90s that we just
right,
don't talk about.
Yeah.
Right, that hardcore. And for every Rambo, for every Predator, for every Commando, there's a million
terrible movies.
Oh man, what's a terrible one?
I don't know.
Like Die Hard 6.
Yeah.
There's a million of them. There's a million
For
terrible
every
action
Jaws,
movies.
there's a Jaws 5. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
There's so many bad movies, and for every Jaws, there's a Sharknado.
Yeah, exactly.
I think some of these. I think it's a shame that Indiana Jones and Guardians of the Galaxy. Hopefully not Guardians of the Galaxy.
Hopefully not.
But I'm afraid that these are going to be the ones that are going to fail massively, and both of these are Disney.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the good thing for us is we did a poll for interest in Indiana Jones, and our audience is like first 3 movies only. And so they're not paying attention to Crystal Skull. They're not paying attention to the Dial of Destiny. And we can still enjoy, although they're going to put Harrison Ford and the name Indiana Jones on the slaughter block,
Yep, Phoebe Waller-Cates.
Yeah,
you guys excited? Phoebe Waller-Cates, his goddaughter. You guys excited for that story?
I am.
Have a drink
I
with
am.
your goddaughter. But but either way, it's we can still enjoy the 3 movies. That's not taken away from us,
Yeah, that was funny. That was a good reference. You quoted that line for line.
Thank you.
No, I'm still gonna watch this movie.
Yeah, of
Guardians
course.
and Indiana Jones. I'm gonna watch both of these movies. You have to.
You do. Yeah, you do.
You have to. As much as you need to watch Mario, you kind of have to see what these are.
Yeah, and
I don't think you have to watch the next Marvel movie, but you have to watch the next Indiana Jones.
Yeah, it's
right?
mandatory homework.
Yeah. But those are our topics. That's kind of what I had. Aside from Mario about to hit $1 billion, I don't have too much other news. There's a lot of stuff happening out in the real world. A lot of depressing stuff.
Yeah.
And we like to come and talk about a little bit of movies, a little bit of news. And
Take the edge off.
It can be depressing in our world, right? In the movie world.
Yeah.
But it's not nearly as depressing as what's going on in other parts of the country.
Yeah,
and
like,
other parts of the world.
China and Brazil saying
Chicago.
they're not going to accept the U.S. dollar as currency anymore.
Yeah.
Those kind of things that freak
don't
the
mention
world
it.
out.
Stop,
We're not
don't
gonna
bring
talk
it
about
up.
that here.
We're not talking about it. We're just saying thank you guys for watching.
Right.
We appreciate you coming. This has been Monday all weekend. We'll see you next
And
time.
thank you, patrons.
Thank you, patrons.